Welcome to Vacation Station, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
Hey everybody, it is time to go on a river cruise. I am all into this. We're very excited to welcome back Cheryl Ogle, who's a world travel advisor, and owner of the travel company Hey Wanna Go, back on Big Blend Radio today. She's here every third Wednesday. I'm in a different zone. It doesn't matter because when you're cruising, time just slips by. But
Exactly.
She's here every third Wednesday to share some travel tips. And today is river cruising. I encourage you to go to her website so you can read the blog she wrote about this, and go to heywannago.com. But welcome back, Cheryl. I'm excited about this topic. I've always wanted to do this because river cruising, we've done the ocean cruise and it just seems, everybody's got their thing, what they want to do.
Exactly.
For me personally, I'm into the scenery, the nature, the history, and I want to be chilled out with not a bunch of people.
Exactly. And when I start talking river cruising with people, and they'll say, "Oh, no, I don't cruise." We once went on a cruise out of LA, and it was just a big party barge. There were 4,000 people. I go, "Oh, okay." River cruising's a whole different animal. And some people love, the party barge, as they call it. They want the high energy, a ton of people. They want the belly flop contest and the hairy leg contest. So there are people who absolutely love it. For the rest of us, there's another option, is river cruising. And, obviously you're on a river and you're cruising, but you're on a ship or a boat or a vessel, depending on what you call it. They're called all of the above, but you're looking at probably 150 to no more than 300 people. And so that you don't have the big cattle call for dinner and 2,000 of you trying to all fight for the creme brulee and all of that. It's just an entirely different experience. I think the first is having smaller numbers. That is so appealing to many of us. It's an intimate experience, and you may get to know your fellow passengers. You'll make new friends. You may go with your own group of people and just have a little small core group and enjoy that time together. But there are I can go on and on and on. So you jump in if you.
But I think it just, to me, and I've even known people go on barge cruises, the smaller, real small ones, which that's kind of cool too, because you're going down canals, and in your blog you were talking about, like, you could just sit in your suite and look out and watch the hills and the castles go by. And I'm like, that's like a fairy dream. Like, that's something we dream of as kids. And to me, this is, if you're going to spend the money on a cruise and you want to have that relaxed thing, but you still have the excursions, right? That's the thing too.
Exactly. Excursions are included with most river cruises. And it may be a hop on, hop off experience. It may be a walk through city center and hearing some history about it. So it's probably not going to be, when you think of excursions, sometimes you think of things that are more active. It's probably not going to be, whitewater rafting or things like that. But some river cruise companies do have some additional options you can purchase, but you will have something to do in each port. And again, it could be a tour, a coach tour around town. But I love those, and hearing from a local, hearing the history and why is that bridge called such and such, and tell me about this. And so that really, it's a different experience. So you have something to do. And if you don't want to do any of that, you can be on your own. Most of the boats do have bicycles that you can rent. I have not ridden a bike since I was a little girl, and I'm a little afraid to try at this age. But
I'm going down.
what I know, I'm afraid of that, and I really don't want a broken hip in Europe. But one day I may get back on a bike and see if I can still ride. We'll see. But that's an option too. If you just want to take off on your own, you reserve a bicycle for an amount of time, and when you get to you port, you're on the river, you're right there in town, and so you take your bike and off you go. You're right there.
I like that. I like that a lot because it's a little quicker way, and it's healthy. Right.
Yes.
We need that.
Yes.
We need that, and Europe is either walking or cycling. That's what I do know.
Exactly.
It's those two things. So they are very healthy, continent or this group of countries, shall we say. We can't,
Right.
you know,
Right.
but that's the cool thing. You're cruising, but like you say, it's not like when you go on a ocean cruise where there's like 20 bars and 20 bands playing kind of thing. This is a little limited down, but you still may have some entertainment, right? Depending on what.
Yes, and in the evening, so on a large cruise, you would probably have a dozen places you go listen to live music, bars, things like that, trivia shows. You don't have that. You may have a piano player. On my first river cruise, there was an organ player, and this gentleman was probably 85 years old. He was precious, and he played the organ every night. And so it just became such a fun little evening tradition to go have some coffee and cookies and listen to the organ player. But you may have someone coming on talking about the upcoming ports and the excursions that you'll experience, the history of the area. So it is a different feel for entertainment, and it's not for everyone. There are no casinos on board, and many people really want it. They love that, and that's fine. You won't find that on river cruises.
This
And
is a
so
little different. I think
exactly.
it's more about those who are interested, like more in the heritage. And
Mhm.
I think that can we just touch on the main kind of destinations? Because I know you just went on a river cruise in the
I did.
States, right? So we do have, let's start in America, some of the ones that just to get people's minds of where they can go with this.
Right. I had the opportunity to do a lower Mississippi river cruise. And I think everyone in the United States knows that the Mississippi is historically very, very low right now. And so that they had invited travel advisors to come on because they had empty cabins. And they said, hey, come see us, see what it's like. Yes, the river's low. No, it's not going to be the full 100% experience, but come see our hospitality. Come see our boat. Come check us out. And I had a ball. Now, I don't normally slow down. I never slow down. And so
I know you, Cheryl.
this was the Wi-Fi wasn't great. And I count on Wi-Fi so that I can work. And so I learned about the second day that can't really work because the Wi-Fi is not great in the middle of the Mississippi. Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
But I took naps. We went to shows. We read books, and it was relaxing and a slow pace. And it's probably exactly what I needed at that point, but it wasn't what I expected. But it was so fun. And having read Mark Twain and everything, growing up, it was fun to just cruise down the Mississippi and go, oh my gosh, we're on the mighty Mississippi. It wasn't that mighty at the moment, but it was like 9 feet deep in a lot of
places. It might get a little bit different with all this weather that the world has been having lately. I don't know.
Right. I'm hoping next year that's really going to come into play and help the mighty Mississippi be a little more mighty. But everyone working on the cruise line, they were so gracious, and they were tired. They'd been on board for months, and you never let that fatigue see, you couldn't see that in them. There were shows every night, and these are like jazz hand shows. I'm not a big jazz hands, production kind of gal, but I can say these shows were incredible. The work that went into them, the musical numbers, the dancing, they were so well done. And whether or not I like them, they were very, very well done.
Well, what about the food? Because like you're telling Memphis and didn't you go Memphis to New Orleans? Is that right?
Yes, Memphis to New Orleans. And so we had some excellent food. And then every night on this particular cruise, and I'm not naming cruise line names or anything during this, but every night they had a small buffet that's I don't know, it probably held about 50 people. They had prime rib at 5:00 every day. And so we learned that, you can get some prime rib every night if you like. So there were some wonderful meals on board. Amazing biscuits, they had good Southern food. And
yeah.
so,
See, that's what I wanted
a biscuit, it's the last thing I need, but we ate biscuits. We were able to participate in a biscuit making class in the South. I can't remember which town we were in, but the restaurateur invited our little group in, and we learned to make homemade biscuits. And
no way.
So it was fun to have those local experiences that I'll always remember that. I'll remember being in her kitchen learning to make biscuits, and I need to throw away that recipe.
No. When we see you, we expect. No, I'm kidding.
Make some biscuits.
Everybody wants biscuits,
right? But it was just such a fun experience too, because I'd never been to Memphis before, I'd never really
Wow.
seen the Mississippi so it was a cool experience. And there are other rivers, so there are many other options. So I do have people who say after COVID, we don't want to be that far away from home. It's perfectly fine. If you want a river cruise experience, there are river cruises in the US. And so
That's good
we
to
can
know.
we
Yeah.
can make that happen. There are a lot of
Are
great
there in
experiences.
Arkansas? I think Arkansas has some, the Ozarks. I think, I'm not sure. Don't
Right.
quote me on it, but I do remember
Yeah.
something happening with that. I'm just not
Right.
sure, but
Don't
I
quote
don't
me
know.
either,
No,
but
but there, yeah, but then like there's the United States, but then going over Europe, and isn't there some in Egypt and thing? I don't, but like
yes,
Europe, I know you
the
specialize
Nile.
in Europe.
Right.
The Nile?
You've got the Danube, you've got the Rhone, you've got the Rhine, so you've got so many options in Europe. I mean, there are countless. I just right before this call, I hung up with a client who we're trying to find the perfect one for her and her husband. And they're
Mm.
looking at one that starts in Paris, and can't remember where this one ends. But there are options, there are countless options, rivers, but also cruise companies.
Mm.
The different cruise lines it's a different fit. It's just like a store. You may prefer shopping at one store at Main Street and First, and I may like,
Yeah.
whatever, Second Street. And so we need to find the right fit for each of you. And
Mm.
there are options out there, and there are different price ranges. When I think most people, I do have people call and say, we want to book a blank river cruise. And I say, okay, do you really want blank or do you want a river cruise? And I said, well, aren't they the only ones? Because it's a
Oh, the
company that
big,
has
you're talking about that big one.
the biggest marketing
Yeah.
budget. And they do an amazing job. I will certainly, they do a great job, but they're not for everyone.
Mm.
And so there are other cruise lines out there, and sometimes it's a better fit and sometimes it's not. But
Mm.
there are many, many different options out there.
Yeah, because I think people think that that is the one, and that they have that their budget has to accommodate that, when
Right.
there's other ones that you can do and still have a wonderful experience, right?
Exactly. Exactly. There's a smaller UK company that I've worked with quite a bit, and I'm taking a group on in December. We're doing
Mhm.
our Yuletide Markets River Cruise out of
Cool.
Budapest. And it's a smaller cruise line. They only work with travel agents. And I've
Oh,
really
wow.
been impressed by their customer service, by their cruise offerings. Their ships are built by the same company that builds the other guys. And so these are beautiful ships. And I'll end up posting some pictures on my blog later on, but they're beautiful. They're elegant. You walk in the dining room and you just almost gasp because they're so pretty, and there's windows all around both
Oh,
sides and around the front, and you can see out. Often you may tour in the morning, and they may say, okay, we're cruising at 5 p.m. And so as you're eating dinner, you see, you're cruising down and you look out, oh, look, there's a castle, and there's a farm on the
that's
hill. And so
amazing. Oh, I think that's what I like. Because Nancy and I like to go to parks and have our sandwiches and
Mhm.
sometimes our little sip of wine. So to me, this really appeals to me, because you're floating, right? And then you're
Mhm.
having your dinner served, and there's no, you don't have to do anything. And I really
Right.
like this idea. But this is something also, you mentioned in your blog, that it's not like you're going on the ocean with like massive waves or anything like this. So if you get seasick, if you're prone to that, would this be a better option?
Absolutely. And I have people say that too. Don't talk to me about cruising, even river cruising. I get so sick. And I go, so do I. I mean, some of my first childhood memories are of having motion sickness. Yay.
Oh, not fun.
It's not pleasant when you experience those things. This is really, it's like floating on glass. And the only time I've ever felt a little bit of motion was when I did a cruise from Amsterdam last year.
Okay.
And there was a small part that we were out in the open sea, and we felt a little. It wasn't, at no point did I ever need to take any medication for it or anything. But that was the only time I've ever been on a river cruise and felt anything at all.
Mm,
Usually it's just as smooth as can be, because it's a
it's a
river.
river,
It's
right?
just a river. There are the first river cruise I went on, I think we went through 30 something locks, and I had
Oh,
learned about them in school as a little girl. And, I thought, how cool. You pull in, they fill it up with water, they lower it with water. And so to really experience that was so much. I mean, I got to get out more, I guess. But at the time, those were my first locks, and they were really something fun to experience and think, wow, look at the difference, and we're heading up 8 feet or down. And so
That's
you do
cool.
experience those a lot.
And just even like the canals and things. And I like to just see the rivers because you can go through cities and you say like, when you stop, you're right there at the city compared to like
Exactly.
the ocean. That's a whole other deal a lot of the times.
Right, exactly. And so when you port, it's not a difficult thing getting on and off your ship. You take your key card and you turn it in. I'm room 123. Okay, bye, Ms. Ogle. Enjoy your day. And so that way they know who's gone, and they keep the key, and you walk off. You don't have to show passports and anything. They know you. It's a small enough number that they keep track of who's on, who's off. And you can walk you're right in town. And so you can walk, you can go shopping, you can go if you want to just dine locally instead. Sometimes I'll do that. Or if you want, you can go back to the ship where you've paid for your meals, and you do have free meals on board. But if I can eat in town, I'm usually going to do that. Go pick the local option. But
exactly.
On my first one as well, we were in France, and we remember seeing the chef walking through town, and he has this big bag of fresh baguettes that he had gotten. It's like, oh, those are going to be with dinner. And they were. I mean, these fresh baked baguettes that he picks up when they were at that certain port. So they do try to incorporate some of the local flavor and things that they know they can count on purchasing at different ports. And it's just a special, intimate experience.
I love that. And it's, I think a lot of chefs, they probably already know each other. It's like here, they probably already have an account. You know what I mean? They already know, like, let's go. They know what they're cooking with and everything. So when you go to bed at night, are you still moving, or do they like dock? And oh, cool.
You are usually moving at night. And so, and it is dark. And so you can look out if you like, you may see the lights, but generally you will be on the move at night. And so that way you're really not missing any time. You're not wasting time. They get you on down the river to your next port.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah.
And does it, that must feel good to me. That sounds like a good way to sleep. But actually it sounds really good right now. I could use some sleep.
Well, who couldn't, right? But because you don't feel the motion, it's not the same as being on an ocean cruise and feeling a little bit of that, that just lulls you to sleep. So you don't have that, but I don't know. I sleep well when I get on a cruise, mainly because okay.
Yeah. Are the rooms similar to being on an ocean cruise, or are they smaller? Typically, because I know there's different companies.
Yes. They are, really you're going to have about 150 people on board with most. Some do go up to around 300, but most of them are a little smaller, 150. One company some of the companies are starting to now have some solo cabins available. One company has several solo only cruises, and there are no single supplements. Every cabin is solo. And there are sometimes you'll see a married couple, they are in 2 cabins, and they say, we sleep in different rooms. He kicks, she snores, whatever. And so they travel like 2 solo travelers. And so that's been a really nice benefit, is knowing that because I'm a solo traveler myself, and I don't always like paying double or paying that single supplement. And so when I can find options like that, it's a value. It's a great value. It's nice savings to myself and my clients. So,
and there's a lot of single women travelers,
yes.
Compared to, 30, 40 years ago, it's completely changed. And so I think like what you're doing with this group for the Christmas market, that cruise, that's something for single people to be able to go and not be completely on their own. You know what I mean?
Yes and no. The only thing about that one is all the solo cabins are already booked and not by my group. So on this one, it is double occupancy only. Okay. And so you can pay double and you'll be alone in the room, but you really need to find a buddy on this particular one.
But hey, shopping, you should have a buddy with you.
Exactly. But
shopping is not as fun on your own. It's
not. But I think even when I went on my first one and I was traveling with some friends, but we did see a woman who was dining solo, and we said, come join us. And she said, no, she had her own reasons for wanting to be solo, but she had people reaching out to her all week and just saying, would you like to sit with us? Could we, and so people are friendly.
Yes.
People, you're not looking there going, why is she alone? everyone has their own reasons and how they want to respond to it. And so I found a very, very friendly bunch. Most people are just welcoming and wanting to get to know other people. They love hearing where you're from. So if you're in Europe, like, where are you from? The United States. Well, I know that. What part? Texas. Oh, I went to Texas once. And so they love telling their stories about the United States. But they love it. So
that's really it. It's traveling solo is a whole different deal, but I kind of like having that port because it's almost like the ship, like you said, knows who you are. So as whether or not you're going with a buddy or like even a couple, like I have many friends who, couples, and he's into, I'm going to the museum, and she's like, oh heck no, you're not dragging me through World War II again. I'm going shopping. Not that she doesn't care, but I'm not doing that.
Right.
You go play with your ammunition. I'll go play with my sparklies.
Right. Well, we all have different things that we want to do and things that are important to tackle. And I am so grateful to have some great travel buddies. And I'm actually meeting one in Croatia. Well, by the time this airs, I will have already done it. But we're meeting up. We're both solo travelers. But we have very similar styles in that, you want to do that? Nah, we don't want to do that. Let's do that. And so we have a lot of fun together. We found we can travel. We can go anywhere. And then after that, I'm meeting another solo traveler who I met on an Alaska cruise a couple of years back. And we've done some travel together. And you can, by traveling solo, you will start to meet some people and have them available for travel experiences. So
I know a lot of people too who just actually like to be alone. Sometimes they need that solitude if they're in a big family that's always loud and crazy and and some people just want that, I need to calm down experience. I know people take themselves out to dinner all the time. And people do the look like, oh, they're alone. How dare you eat alone? And they're like, I've got a perfectly good book. I like this ambiance. This is enough for me.
Exactly. As my dad once said, I like my own company. And so it doesn't, eating out still is not my favorite thing to do solo, but I do it more and more. Yesterday, I took myself out for a shrimp lunch. I thought, I just feel like shrimp and I don't feel like cooking it. So off I went.
Good for you. Yeah, exactly.
And it was lovely. But you don't know what's out there. Go explore. Most people that I've come in contact with are very, very kind. And they're looking to make new relationships, new friendships. And you don't know. You just don't
exactly. Know. I think you meet people when you always meet people. And this is one of those really, balanced kind of travel. I want to do the cruise. I want to do the cruise ships. I want to do the Memphis one to New Orleans.
Yeah.
That sounds like
it was fun. It wasn't what we expected because some of the ports some of the big ports had to be changed because the water was so low that the ship could not get there. But they made up for it. They communicated that well. We were really sorry. We've got a plan B in mind, and this is it. And it was fine. It was fine. It was just such a lovely experience.
That's the thing, though. You have to roll with the changes as travelers, and sometimes you'll gain something that you didn't know about, or you know what I mean. So that is part of travel. You become good at bumpy roads, and I think if we traveled and we didn't have the bumpy roads, that would be miserable. But I'm going to say this: having no Wi-Fi for a few days is not the end of the world. It's quite lovely.
No, but I will say I had counted on working, and when we got to a port and we went to a museum, we did take our laptops and we said, look, can we just use your conference room for an hour and just download email and work? And my sister and I sat there just downloading, typing as fast as we could. Said, okay, we're good. We'll, throw this back in our bag. So when you work remotely, you do count on that. And so that was something that was the unexpected. But who knew that I would get to read? I think I read 2 books in a 5-day period or whatever. And
I don't know how many people are really working on a cruise either. You know what I mean?
There were just 2 of us who had planned to work. I don't think anybody else had, but we lived and work survived. And that was just fine. Like I said, we'd take a nap. They'd show a movie in one room. We'd go see a movie. We'd take a nap. We'd read a book.
I want to go on the Mighty Mississippi. I've got that. I love it. I drive over it all the time, going back and forth, going over that big bridge from Arkansas over. And
yes. I got a podcast.
podcast of Memphis, and I want to go in the Luxor looking thing, the Sphinx. That what do they call it? Not the Sphinx. The it's like the pyramid. Like they've got a pyramid there.
The Bass
looks
Pro
like,
Shop.
yeah, I think that's
Yes,
it. Yeah,
yes,
I want to.
yes.
Yeah, it's like the Luxor, and when you drive over at night, you're like, wait a minute, did I go to Vegas? No,
I
no,
know,
but
right. I
I want
didn't
to
go
spend
in
some time
there,
there.
but next
Yeah.
time. But no, the Mississippi, that was a neat experience. And because the boat is actually, right behind you, but it's beautiful because it's all Southern Belle. It feels like that movie, that Mel Gibson movie, Jodie Foster, Mel Gibson. They're gamblers.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
I love that movie. But that's what it feels like, is that it's like, look at this ship. I kept taking pictures of all the different things. I mean, it's just beautiful. They had a woman's parlor, a ladies' parlor, and then a gentleman's,
no way.
gentleman's club
Cool.
room or clubhouse, something like that. And so in the ladies' parlor, they had crafts. And so you could make it was Christmas time. And so you could make Christmas ornaments, and ours came in second place. I'm not bitter or anything, but
Hello.
but still, right, we were number 2, and so I don't think there were any prizes, but anywho, but it was just fun. It was
Did you get
relaxing.
to get out in New Orleans? Did you get to get out, or did they turn it around? How does that
No,
work?
we got out. We ended at New Orleans, and so we got out. We actually flew home that day, just because of some other responsibilities we had, but it was handled all so well, and it was just lovely. It was
That's awesome.
a slower pace, and very, very good for me to learn a slower pace.
Yeah, that's
for a week.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's awesome. And I think what you're doing with the Christmas market, that's going to be fun. So does that go from port? Give everyone a little overview of this, because are you going from port to Christmas shop? And tell people what the Christmas market is for people who are new to that.
So the European towns, and even some towns in the US, are starting to do Christmas markets. And so it'll be, think of a cool, like, not farmers market, but like a little local country market, but with a Christmas theme. And so they'll have everything from ornaments to special food to special gifts and candles, and just anything and everything. So this cruise does run December 6th through the 11th, 2023. Mm-hmm. It is round trip from Budapest, Hungary. And we have ports. We're in Budapest a couple of days, and then we head to Bratislava and then Vienna, and then we turn around and head back to Budapest. So I recommend starting in Budapest. I'm recommending that you show up on the 4th and you have 2 nights in Budapest before you board the ship. But at least it's always a good idea to come at least one day early when you're cruising, even though it's a river cruise and you could technically catch up. You don't want to do that. So it's just better to come a little early, pay a couple of nights hotel, adjust to the time zone. I do have one cabin that's still available at $1,609 per person, double occupancy. And then I have 3 cabins that are $1,999 a person. And so that's for the cruise. You have your air on top of that. And the last I checked, air out of DFW was running about $900 for economy contract. So I've got a couple of cabins left, but these are going fast. And if you are at all interested, I need to hear from you very, very soon. But
by the time this airs, it's probably going to be gone. But it gives everybody an idea of what they can do, even if you sell out, because like what you're saying, those prices are, I think, really good, because I mean, you can stay in hotels in this country for $500 a night when you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I know people are thinking 500, no way, that's high end. No, today I booked a client actually for Florence, Italy, 2 nights, was right at $950, I think it was. And this isn't anything real fancy. So this is, so hotels are up there. I don't book, I really don't book much below 4-star, the occasional 3-star if I'm familiar with it, but hotels are expensive, and you don't have your food on top of that. So to have a cruise and know you've got your room and you have your food and you have your excursions, it's a great value. It really is. Most river cruises, you can look at paying $250 per person per day and up. I mean, that's kind of an average across the board. It does go up, and depending on the cabin, but
no, that's really, yeah, especially when you think about the meals in there. It really, and then you get to have the views, and like you're saying, you're not driving,
Exactly. Yeah, right. You're not having to navigate anything, get in and out of your cabin. You can handle that. So you
Yeah.
don't have to think, how do I get on this train? And I missed the train. And
No,
where's the
wait, do they have
taxi?
wine? No, wait, this is important. They do have wine. I want my wine view.
They
They
have
have wine.
wine. And
Okay.
what's funny is the beverage packages are very, very reasonable. And so
Mm.
you're not paying, like on many of the ocean liners, you're paying $65 to $100 a day for beverages. But on a river cruise, you might pay 15 a day, and you'll have beer and wine and sodas with your meals. So, and then
It's
if you
not
go to the
bad.
bar at other times, a glass of wine is going to cost you about, 2 to 3 euros.
That's
So
not bad at
it's
all.
very, very reasonable. Many river cruises allow you to bring on your own bottles of wine as well. You have to keep them in your room, but you may pour a glass and walk out of your room, out of your cabin. But the bottle itself stays in your cabin.
Because
So,
if you, to me, like having wine or coffee, tea, any of it, there's
right.
something about sipping and chilling out. Like I wish, I mean, I drive, right? I drive as we drive across the country, but to me, I'd like to have, I don't want to drink and drive. I'm not talking, I'm so
No.
not promoting this,
No.
but it would be nice to be able to sit, I know you can do it in limos. That's what limos are so cool.
Right.
You can sit and sip and look at the world go by. And that's what I think is so nice about the river cruise, is because to me, it's about the full experience. And like I
Yes.
said, I don't care if it's tea, it's about that slowing down, take a breath. And
Yes.
we're in this day in life, we're not taking a breath. We're all just like, we're out of COVID, let's run around. And
Right.
I think this sounds really relaxing, and I don't have to steer, even though I
Right. Well,
love to
and I
drive.
think most of us who tend to be on the go, we're getting really tired of it. And maybe it's just me and I'm just really tired, but I'm getting tired of go, go, go. And I'm 58. Maybe it's time for me to be tired of it. It is time to slow down a little bit
Mhm.
and to lift up that glass, whether it's your wine or my iced tea, and live. Well, you can't get any good iced tea in Europe, not gonna lie, but you can on
You can get
Mississippi,
hot tea in Europe, that's for sure. Hot tea and
right? I know
coffee
I
and
bring
hot
my own
chocolate.
tea.
Hot
But
chocolate.
it's just time to slow down. Life is
Mm,
short, and slow down and enjoy it. What
yeah,
are you waiting
exactly.
for? Why not? But
Well, I'll write you
for
a
me,
check right now,
this falls.
Cheryl. Let's go.
I know. Well, this falls right after my birthday, and so I thought, you know what, I want to do this. I've wanted to do the European Christmas markets, and so why not? Why not just go do it? Put it on the
Yeah.
calendar, and know that's what I'm doing. And so
Mm.
it's a fun time to celebrate my birthday, and then after that, go right into the Christmas season.
Oh,
So
it's a good way to
that'll get
kick
you in
off
the
the season.
Christmas season.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I love it. Everyone, go to heywannago.com. Cheryl's also on Facebook, always posting her adventures. So she's really fun to follow on Facebook under Hey Wanna Go Travel, and also on Instagram. And since she's often, traveling, this is a good time to start following her. Her blogs are also at heywannago.com. You can also listen to her interviews, her past interviews, if you go to blendradioandtv.com. She is here every third Wednesday, so you can keep up with our shows at bigblendradio.com. Thank you so much, Cheryl, and happy
Thanks,
travels.
Lucy. Thank you. You too. Safe travels.
Thank you.
All right.